Audio on demand from Vision Christian Media.
Coming up today on The Story.
I really had this interesting conversation with God. I said, God, I'm frustrated. I wanted to do mission work. Now what am I meant to do? I haven't got anything to do. And I really felt like I just heard this, I guess a voice in my head in a way saying, well, what do you like to do? And I'm like, well, biking. and then he said, well, and I'm thinking, so what do I do?
The Story.
G'day, I'm Jimmy Colfax. Welcome to The Story. Well, today we have part 2 of our conversation with Lisa Mellor, who's been sharing with us her life journey and how she's been combining her love for riding motorcycles with her love for serving the Lord in various places around the world. Today we'll hear more of where the road of life has taken her and how she became the first female national coordinator of Australia's Christian Motorcyclists Association. It's all coming up today as Lisa continues her chat with Eric Scatterbo in our Melbourne studios.
And then from Madagascar, you eventually went to Thailand?
Yeah, it wasn't like straight away. I came home from Madagascar and a couple of years and did some more midwifery and learned a few more skills, and then went travelling to, really I wanted to go trekking in Nepal, which I did. And
just a bit of an adventure?
Yeah, meet a friend over there and go up to Everest Base Camp and
Oh, wow.
enjoy that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you go to Nepal through Thailand. And I came back through Thailand, and a friend of mine had said to me, you make sure you go up to Chiang Mai and visit this orphanage for HIV kids. And I thought, okay, well, I want to go up to Chiang Mai anyway, so I did, and I went to visit this orphanage and stayed there for a day, just nursing babies and being with the kids. And at the end of the day, I sort of said, I don't know, I just didn't really want to go home yet.
Something about those kids, huh?
Well, and it was something to do with where I was at the moment, that time too, Eric. I was a bit off track again. As I said, it can be a constant struggle in a way.
Your walk with the Lord you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you rededicated your life, but you were still vacillating back and forth a bit? Struggling with, I don't know, a problem that just seemed to keep popping up for me, a relationship problem. Anyway, I just didn't want to go home yet. And an obvious question would be, were you lonely? Yes,
in a way I was, yeah. And I just thought this was a good place, and I said, do you want any volunteers? And the director and the volunteer coordinator both said to me, no, because as I found out later, they usually got people to come, not just blow in, which is fair enough. They got them to apply from their own country and basically give a reference and all that sort of thing. And so I happened to mention where I was staying, and a couple of days later I got a message from the volunteer coordinator, and she said, well, you're fair dinkum, because she was actually an Aussie.
Oh, okay.
And she said, well, you're fair dinkum about volunteering. And I said, yes, I was. She said, well, come back and see me. So I went back, and she said, look, I've had somebody had to go home suddenly for family reasons. How about we take you on, and after a week or so we reassess? And I said, sure. And so we did that, and that kept going on for a couple of months, and then she'd say, right, I think we're okay together, so basically you tell me if you ever you think you need to go home. Well, I stayed there for 20 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't go back home and get things and come back?
No.
You just stayed there?
Yeah, I just stayed there.
And it worked out okay?
Same thing. I got a bike, of course, which was just some sort of a little trail bike thing. Had to be a bit different from the local scooters that were running around. It was MTX. I got it from another misho who was leaving. Or anyway,
So you were happy you had your motorcycle?
I had a motorcycle. Yeah, I could fang around Chiang Mai and take the volunteers on the back who wanted to go to town or whatever like that. Yeah. So it was good. Yeah, it was a good time, and it was a time when I could refocus on God again. Met an amazing woman at the church there that I went to who helped me refocus and basically she was a good counsellor, and she just helped me work through things. I won't go into too much of that, but she was brilliant, and she didn't charge me because I hadn't really had no money being a volunteer there.
But really helped you strengthen your faith.
Yes, and I went to 2 churches while I was there. I went to the big church that we all went to, and I went to one run by some Aussies, Christian Outreach Centre people, and got to know the girls who were doing the medical missions. So that was fun. I went out with them once or twice as well.
So that was a good experience in more ways than one. You were helping the orphans, and that was fulfilling for you, but also for you personally, it sounds like you were better grounded in your faith after that.
Yes, yeah, it was. And it just puts your focus off yourself when you see these kids who are who have been abandoned because they either their parents had HIV or they had it. So they were abandoned and they couldn't basically get adopted if they had HIV. They had to stay there forever, and they didn't get the treatment that let's put it this way, that deaths weren't uncommon, and so it was sad, but it was also a very happy place to work. Amazingly.
In what way?
Well, we just made the life the best we could for the kids. You had the nannies, the Thai nannies who were paid, but you had all this overseas volunteers, a lot of them from places like Denmark or Sweden, because they have a thing of their young people going and doing something altruistic like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I made a lot of Danish friends.
Just a practical question.
Yeah.
How did you support yourself?
Well, I actually ended up getting a ESL job.
Teaching English as a second language?
Yeah, anybody who's anybody who was a native speaker, that they snapped you up, and so I got a job just doing that a couple of times a week.
That was enough to
That was enough.
Survive?
Enough, yeah.
Oh, okay. And then your time in Thailand came to an end?
Yeah, I did eventually come home about the time of the Olympics in Sydney, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
2000?
Yeah.
And then you got yourself another bike?
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
What kind?
An XV750 Yamaha.
Okay.
Yeah, commonly called a Virago.
And you had quite a miraculous experience with that motorcycle.
Oh, yes.
What happened?
Oh, well...
this is back in Australia now.
Well, what had happened was, before that, a friend of mine had... Because I'd been riding all my life pretty much on my own, and a few longer trips with this friend that I'd met in Canberra called Christian, and she'd taken me along to a CMA, a Christian Motorcyclists Association gathering, and national gathering.
So you learned, hey, there's more people like me,
yeah,
Christians who are into motorcycles.
Why didn't I know about you guys before? Anyway, she took me along, 2002, she took me along to that, and they said the next national gathering was in New South Wales, the next national gathering was in Perth, and I said, yep, I'm in for that. So the next year I found myself riding across to Perth with a friend on the back who decided she wanted to come, and...
thousands and thousands of kilometers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'd already done thousands and thousands of kilometers.
So that was no big thing for you.
No, it was just another adventure, I guess. But we set off a day behind the group that we were going to ride with, and they'd started from the middle of New South Wales, and from the beginning, it was almost like everything was against us. The first day there was a huge storm that we rode through. Oh. And...
You're out on a motorcycle in a storm?
Yeah, and the rack on the back broke. And
this is where your friend is sitting on?
No, she's on the seat, but there's a rack with the luggage on it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, gear sack.
Yeah,
the rack broke. And we're north of Griffith, and so we managed to contact the guy that we're trying to catch up with, who's their way ahead, and he lived in Griffith, so he rang his wife, and she came up and... found us on this road north of Griffith, and through the...
You're just stranded there.
Yeah, through the rack and everything into her car, and my friend got in the car because she wanted to get out of the storm, and we went into Griffith.
You're just waiting there in the rain and the storm?
Yeah.
Oh, what a desperate situation.
Well, that wasn't the worst bit. Anyway.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, well, that rack got... my friend's Barry's son welded up the rack for us, no problem. And off we went the next day, and we get
to Hay, and we're just out the other side of Hay, and this loud knocking starts in the motor. Very loud knocking, and you just know, even if you're not a mechanic, you just know it's not right. And went back to Hay, rang Barry again and said, and he listened over the phone. He was a bike mechanic, and he said, "Oh, Lisa, that sounds fatal." And I was like, I was almost in tears. I thought, that's the end of our trip.
Yeah.
That's it. That's really the end of it. And
You got through the whole storm, and then this.
yes, and I thought, honestly, there's nothing that's going to stop us. No other bike around. We can't go on.
Yeah.
And he called two of his friends. One was a mechanic, not a bike mechanic, and one was just another guy. And they came and they met us at the service station. And they said, well, and I'd turned the bike off and on, and it was still there. Anyway,
Yeah.
they said, we're just take it for a ride. We turned it on, and when they were there, they prayed, and the knocking wasn't there. Very strange. And they said, well, take it for a ride out of town about this distance you went and come back again. So I went out about 13 k's, came back again. And I said, it's not there. And they said, it's very strange anyway. They said, what we're going to do is we're going to lay hands on you and the bike, we're going to pray for you, and you're going to go.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay.
Talk about a leap of faith.
Is a real stretch of faith because, you
Yeah.
know, out there in the Hay Plains, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, you're taking a big risk there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened?
Well, first of all, my friend puts a helmet on backwards, and I thought she was mucking around to try and lighten the mood, and I got angry with her. I said, stop mucking around, Hill. Stop mucking around. And she said, I'm not. She said, it's all black. And she was so inexperienced that she had literally put the helmet on backwards.
I'm not experienced at motorcycles, but at least I would have got that right.
Yeah. So that's pretty funny. Anyway, so we went on, and of course the others were praying for us as well, and we caught up with them. And
Oh, you did?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we got caught up with them at Mildura. They waited for us, and we went on together and had a great trip across the Nullarbor, over to Perth, had our national gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Story. Our guest today is once again Lisa Mellor, who's been involved with Australia's Christian Motorcyclists Association for several years. We'll hear more of Lisa's story, including some more of her motorcycle road trip adventures, when we return.
The Story. If this program has highlighted something you'd like prayer for, we'd love to pray for you. Call 1-800-PRAY-FOR-ME. That's 1-800-772-936. It's a free call. Or text 0401 132 888.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Colfax, and this is The Story. Our guest today is once again Lisa Mellor, who's been involved with Australia's Christian Motorcyclists Association for several years and was their national coordinator for 6 of them. Now, here's more of her story as she continues her chat with Eric Scatterbo.
So that began your association with the Christian Motorcyclists Association?
Yeah. I never missed, apart from when I went to Africa, I never missed a national gathering again, and I got involved in my local group. Yeah.
So that was great fellowship with like-minded Christians?
Yeah, and it was people with the same passion, passion for God and a passion for motorcycles. So it was stood to reason that that's what I wanted to do and stay with. Yeah.
But you had yet another overseas adventure. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I still had a heart for missions for sure, and I was actually going to go with an Australian group to another. Well, I did. I went with them to Burundi, but that was brief, just to help. Burundi went through the same genocide as Rwanda, and a minister, like a government minister there, who's a Christian, invited us to come and to help look at what was needed. Medically and educationally. So I was the medical person, and we were taken all around Burundi, and it was only a few weeks, but it was very interesting to try and give them an idea of to build the country back up because they, been left in a fairly poor state. And then I was meant to go on to another country, and the other people that I was meant to go with, it fell through. I'm over in Europe, and they just suddenly said, no, we're not going. And I'm already on my way,
Oh, wow. What'd you do?
Well, I was in Denmark because I went for a midwives conference. I thought I'd combine it with the trip. I thought I can do that, and that helps me pay my way over there. And I went to a midwives conference, so I was in Copenhagen, and one of my Danish friends that I'd made in Thailand contacted me and said, you have to come over to Aarhus, where she lived. I said, why? She said, because the mission that I work with are interested in, asking if you do this work for them. They want to interview you, basically. And I said, I haven't got the money. I really didn't. I was really just doing it bit by bit. And I said, I haven't got the money to catch the train across to Aarhus. She said, they'll pay. They'll pay for your train fare. So I went to Aarhus and had this interview, and they said, we think you're perfect. We want you to go to Nigeria and be the Danish host couple. And I said, number one, I'm not Danish, and number two, I'm not a couple. And they said, oh, yeah, we know, but the couple that are there have left, and we've got these young people. We need somebody to be the person to look out for them. Yeah. So
that's how you got to Nigeria?
Yeah, that's how I got to Nigeria.
And I understand you had some adventures there.
Well,
on cliff sides, is that right?
Oh, well, it started with these
cliff
young
faces.
people. Yeah, I started with these young people, and I was based in a city called Jos, and I worked with them for 3 months, and I did 2 lots of that. And then I got to know an older missionary named Reki who had been there for 40 years as a nursing out in the much more remote area, and she invited me to go with her. So the next trip I went out with her to this little village called Dhaka, where she built a hospital, built a house.
She did?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She'd lived there in that village, I think, for 17 years, but she'd been in Nigeria for 40 years.
Oh, wow. Sounds like she was a pretty tough woman as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just wanted somebody else to come out and see the work. And so I went out and worked with her for quite some time, and just helping in her clinic there, and did operations.
Well, I need to ask you, did you have a motorcycle?
I didn't actually have one, but she said there's some villages further out that I've never been able to go to because there's no roads.
Yeah.
Because I can't ride. She said, but you can ride. She said, so will you go? And I said, okay.
And this is how you were uniquely qualified to reach these remote areas.
Yeah.
Nobody else had done it.
That's true. I hadn't thought about it, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she sent a translator with me, a good man who knew medical things to a degree as well.
And what did you ride on?
Oh, the little local scooters called Honda Dreams, which to me was a bit of a nightmare.
It seems beneath you after all you've been on.
Oh no, it was just when you see the terrain and these little things, and you think you'd really be much better on a decent trail bike.
Yeah. But you rose to the occasion.
Yeah, well,
had to.
There was not much choice. So it was a very interesting journey.
No, I have in my notes here, you rode along cliff faces in the dark. I want to hear about this.
Well, yeah, because there's no roads. You just got to get to these villages. And
no roads in the dark?
Well, I guess we just ran out of daylight because it was very rough, and going down through deep river crossings,
oh my goodness,
creek crossings, I guess, and getting stuck in the sand and everything, and all these people suddenly appearing and pushing you out and
helping you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And then I was glad it was dark, actually, because honestly, I didn't know it dropped away so steeply, and I'm just following this guy along this track, and I find out later that it's
How high up were you?
Oh, I don't know, but it was
better that you didn't know.
Better.
But you got to the remote areas?
Yeah,
you were able to help?
Went to several villages, and I mean, hundreds of people came.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of winging it and thinking, God, how do I treat all these people? It's beyond me. Again, I'm just praying, because even some of the diseases I don't, schistosomosis and stuff like that. I haven't come across it before, and I'm learning as I go. But it was really good. It was really exciting and really beneficial for the people.
How long did you do that?
Oh, it was just a trip from I don't know how many villages we did. I can't actually even remember now, but we went from village to village, and as soon as the people knew we were there, they'd walk from the other villages that weren't going to be visited, and so we ended up with hundreds of people.
Oh, wow.
Each day.
Places that had never had medical attention or very little?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think if they needed anything, they'd have to have walked days to the big village, to Dhaka.
So you were coming to them?
Yes.
And then you came home?
Yeah, my dad contacted me, and my mum was really unwell with dementia, and he wasn't coping, and I felt like I had to come back. And I honestly thought I was only coming home for a few months, and sadly I've never been back.
So how did you feel about leaving the work you love?
Very sad. Yeah, very sad. I really wanted to stay and do more. And I think Recce was even thinking I'd take on her job there.
Yeah.
I just had to. I felt like I had to be here for my parents. Yeah.
So how did that make you feel?
Pretty frustrated. After a while, I was really missing that work. Yeah, I was really missing being overseas and being in those situations. Yeah.
What'd you say to God?
Well, I was actually on my way back from another trip to WA, the next national run, as we call it, over there in 2009, and I'd got stranded in Adelaide because I got sick on the way back. I got pneumonia, and I
in Australia.
Yeah,
not in Africa.
No,
Oh,
I must have been run down, and I was riding with some other people, of course, and I said, "You'll have to go. I have to stop." And God miraculously looked after me there, giving me a place to stay, and I won't go into all of that, but through CMA people, wonderful people. And then, so then when I was riding home, I was on my own, and I really had this interesting conversation with God. I said, God, I'm frustrated. I wanted to do mission work. Now what am I meant to do? I haven't got anything to do. What are you going to give me to do? And I really felt like I just heard this, well, I guess a voice in my head in a way saying, well, what do you like to do? And I'm like, well, biking.
Not real complicated.
and then he said, well, and I'm thinking, so what do I do? So I threw myself into trying to help the Christian clubs. There were quite a few Christian clubs in New South Wales.
Motorcycle clubs?
Yeah. Christian motorcyclist clubs and associations, and trying to get them to communicate a bit more with each other. I drew up a program of everybody's events and how we could support each other, and tried to get them, a bit more working together because we all had different roles, and thought, yeah, I suppose I can do that. And I was just trying to do that sort of thing. And then 1 year after that conversation, I'm at the next national gathering in South Australia, and I go into the meeting, the leaders' meeting, as the Secretary of New South Wales, and I came out as the National Coordinator of Australia, and I had no idea that was coming, but that was God. That was totally God, because I was the only woman in the meeting for a start. I was the only national coordinator they've ever had elected as a woman.
Fantastic!
Yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing for me. I had no idea how to run a meeting or do anything. So, yeah.
But the Lord led you to that position.
Yeah, he did. He did, and it caused quite a stir when I went to my first international leaders meeting over in South Africa, because no other leader of any other country is a woman, or I don't think they've ever, or has been. There's 30-something countries.
No women.
No women. So
they're unique.
yeah. The European guys thought it was great. I'm not sure the Americans and the South Africans were quite so keen.
Oh, more conservative over there.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but we should say that you were the leader, the national coordinator of the Christian Motorcyclists Association in Australia for 6 years.
Yeah, 2 3-year terms. Yeah.
And then eventually you got married. In
I
our
did.
remaining time, tell us about that.
Well, yeah. Well, that's how I met my husband, actually, because he was in CMA in South Australia. I was in CMA in New South Wales. And, of course, once a year we all get together. So it was a very gradual getting to know each other from 2008 when we first met till 2014 when we worked together in a bigger bike group called Ulysses. They have a big gathering, and we had a week-long time together, a group of CMA people running a tent there to be a witness to the other bikers. Yeah, an outreach, and we got to know each other. And he sort of, after that, he started travelling. He started travelling to New South Wales, and I started travelling to South Australia to visit each other.
Yeah.
And we eventually got married. It took a long time, but eventually got married in 2017.
Now, typically when a motorcyclist has a girlfriend or a wife, they ride on the back.
Yeah, I suppose the majority. No, I can't do that.
That's not for you.
I tried. I did. I've done it the odd time, but no, I don't.
You had to have your own motorcycle.
I don't cope well on the back. No, I'm not a good pillion.
Thank you so much, Lisa Mellor, for sharing your story with us.
Thanks, Eric. It was interesting.
I hope it wasn't too painful for you.
Oh, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
That was Eric Scatterbo chatting with Lisa Mellor, who's been involved with Australia's Christian Motorcyclists Association, or CMA, for several years and was their national coordinator for 6 years. One of the projects Lisa has been involved in with CMA was creating a special booklet just for bikers called Riding with a Purpose. The booklet includes the Gospel of Mark, as well as several stories of bikers. To find out more about CMA or to contact them about getting a copy of their booklet, you can go to their website. It's national.cmaoz.org. That's national.cmaoz.org. Finally, I really like the Bible verse CMA features on their website, which is perfect for bikers. It's Psalm 45 verse 4, which says, "In your majesty ride out to victory, defending truth, humility and justice. Go forth to perform awe-inspiring deeds." Well, thanks for joining us for part 2 of Lisa Mellor's adventurous story. Until next time, I'm Jimmy Colfax, encouraging you to share your story with someone today.
The Story. Just another way Vision is helping you look to God daily.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.